started recording? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Uh, Hello and welcome to all the participants, and thank you for making time for this interaction today. So, this session will be about an hour long, and we will open for a Q&A post the presentation by our guest speaker, Stalin, today. Let me do a quick round of introductions. My name is Shama Dev, and I work with the team to take this campaign as far and as wide as we can. Punaravartan is a campaign to reintroduce circularity to Indian rituals and festivals and make them completely zero waste. It promotes the reuse and recycling of clay, locally known as Shadu Mati, after immersions by giving it back to the Murtikars. The clay, as we all know, is a mineral and it is also a non renewable resource. And as more and more people are shifting to POP idols, this activity is really helping reuse the clay and reduce mining fresh material every year. And the success of this campaign can be understood by the fact that we have collected 15,000 to 20,000 ton of clay last 2 or 3 years just from Pune. So, introducing Manisha, she's the founder of Ecoexist Foundation and Social Enterprise, and she's an environmentalist at heart. She's an architect by profession and has a keen interest in material design. She has conceptualized the Punaravartan campaign and powers it on to its fifth year now. Congratulations, Manisha. Her vision and perseverance and integrity for finding solutions and looking for closing the loop has appealed to many individuals, organizations, enterprises, influencers, government bodies, and schools to join hands and give this unique social campaign a push in the right direction. Stalin Dayanand, our guest speaker today, is an environmentalist heading the Mumbai based NGO Vanashakti. His mission is to highlight the importance of India's rivers and forests. His significant contributions include protecting wildlife corridors in the Western Ghats from mining, securing protection for Maharashtra's wetlands and mangroves, saving thousands of trees and thousands of acres of open spaces in Aarey colony. He has been instrumental in establishing the Thane Creek Flamingo Sanctuary, Mumbai's second wildlife sanctuary. Stalin has also played a crucial role in reviving the polluted Ulhas River, advocating for unrestricted river access for citizens and animals, and ensuring mangroves are under forest protection, department protection. He has filed over 25 PILs, one of which we are going to hear about today, for environmental protection. He was also involved in notifying the eco-sensitive zone of Sanjay Gandhi National Park and continues to work on waste management and preventing untreated sewage release. His efforts include reintroducing extinct mangrove species in Thane Creek, reviving mangroves in Sivri, decimated by the pollution, and protecting saltwater lake in Vadala. Additionally, he is a member of the High Court appointed Committee for Wetlands and Mangroves Protection. So you'll all agree why he makes the perfect guest speaker to kickstart this series of interesting webinars, which will deep dive and double click to understand the various aspects brought up by under the umbrella of Punaravartan. Anisha, shall we start?
Thank you, Shama, and welcome everybody. Thank you for taking the time. It's kind of a deep dive topic, so I'm sure that the people who are here are actually interested in this. I'll just give you a brief kind of overview of the Punaravartan campaign and also why we felt that having these conversations was so important. So Punaravartan, like Shama said, started in 2020, and that was the year when the Central Pollution Control Board actually established their revised guidelines for immersion in water bodies. And that whole guideline is about protecting our natural water bodies, so the rivers, the lakes, the sea, from the immersion and by extension of any other man-made products also. So, and this is specifically since Ganesh Chaturthi is one of the largest festivals where immersion is practiced. It really impacts the Ganesh festival, also by extension, say, to the Durga Puja that happens in West Bengal. And the whole issue is that this ritual, which is so important to this one community, which is of Visarjan, uh, that ritual, because of the industrial materials, because of the toxic chemical paints, has become now highly polluting. So where originally it might have been done at a much smaller scale with more natural materials, now it is impossible for nature to bear that kind of scale of the burden that it imposes. So now, just to also highlight to you that it has been 20 years almost since this issue was first brought to the attention of the government. And we realized that over these 20 years, there has been a lot of back and forth because there are many stakeholders in this kind of festival who are directly impacted by these guidelines and who have differing viewpoints, right? So the environmental activists have a certain viewpoint, say the murtikars and the artisans have another viewpoint, maybe say the religious groups may come at it from a different.
म्हणजे तुम्ही गेलात ना तुम्हाला गणेश टीम दिसेल तुम्हाला.
And we have been looking at it, but this year we really kind of went deeply into it. And on our website, you will find an article that we have put together, which traces the whole legal trajectory of this particular issue. And as we were going through those studies, we found that Stalin had, and through Vanashakti, had filed this PIL. Stalin is known to me personally. We have worked on certain projects before. And so I requested him to come and share with us, mainly because I felt it is important for us to understand what is the role that the law can play when we find that we are not able to solve a particular kind of environmental problem. So Stalin is very familiar with the law. He has filed many PILs, and he's always, I mean, he's using the National Green Tribunal and other courts to really push his point. And so today we are here to learn from Stalin about this particular case, the context within which he filed the PIL specifically for the Aarey colony in Mumbai. So with that, Stalin, thank you for accepting this invitation and for spending this time with us. We have a lot to learn from you. And I'll hand it over to you, and I'm going to try to share your PPT from my side.
Thank you, Punaravartan, and thank you, Manisha, and the entire team which is working on this, I would say, novel and much needed initiative. This was long overdue, and I'm very happy. And I think I saw one of my colleagues or my co-fighters in the audience. I don't know where he's gone off to. There's someone who's worked equally hard on this issue, which is Rohit Joshi. I saw him sometime back somewhere on the screen. So Rohit is someone who's already done a lot of work. We'll come to that. So this issue about Ganesh idol immersions, it's not just about Ganesh idol immersions, but since we are mostly in Maharashtra, we'll try and stick to that. So we can if you can share the screen, that would be nice.
Give me a second. Can you see this?
Yes. So basically, we are talking about the issues of the Ganesh idol immersions in Maharashtra, the environmental impact and the sustainable alternatives. Of course, you have already mentioned your work, which is an alternative, definitely. So the initial slide talks about what it is about, whether it's a traditional festival. It's a traditional festival, yes, I would say, but it has sort of it had to escalate and elevate itself at a particular point when the British were ruling our country, and we needed more people to rally around and come out in common places, show the uniqueness of Indian heritage and culture. So great Lokmanya Tilak sir's his vision was to have this Sarvajanik Ganeshotsav. That's how this concept has started. Now, what has happened is that the purpose for which it was started has literally been done away with. It's no longer a gathering of people for a social cause. It's become more of a competition among them, different groups and different people. Let that be that maybe, but the point is it's coming at a cost to the environment. Now we have this. Why do we immerse the idols? It is because of the symbolic significance that it shows the cycle of creation and dissolution. in the universe. It's like saying you came from mud, you go back to mud, that way. So, and traditions which the idols traditionally were immersed in the water bodies. So it is like signifying the return of Lord Ganesha to his celestial abode. And it helped the communities to bond. Now, everything was fine and rosy at this point of time, but what went wrong was with the beginning of the use of plaster of Paris, which we know, made from gypsum and then mixed with water to form a paste, which, the effect, the best part or the utility is that they can mold it to the shapes they want to, and it remains firm, and which is a challenge with other materials. But having said that, the fallout was never, realized by people. In fact, it will be, I don't know how many people know this, a lot of idols come from China also now. It's coming in large numbers in containers full of the idols. So what does really POP do? It's basically non-degradable completely. It silts up the water. It causes pollution. Can you move the slide a little bit up? Yeah. So it creates it silts up. Then it creates chemical contamination, toxic release of toxic material, heavy metals. Then what you call it? It interferes with the BOD levels in the lake. The marine life is impacted. The fertility of the soil also gets impacted when you put it outside or remove it from the water and dump it on land. So basically, all said and done, we are doing something which neither the water can absorb nor the earth can absorb. So it has to be treated as a pollutant and nothing beyond that. Now the question is that how do you marry science with religion? So the alternatives have to be explored. When the tradition originally says that we have to use mud. So every house or everyone showed their skill by making a lot of the idols in a different forms, which express their creativity also and showed their devotion in the true way. Like the God which we want to worship, you try hard and make it perfect and then keep it. It's a different spiritual feeling altogether. But right now, what we are seeing is that it's a ready-made idol which is brought and it's been kept in the house for some days, worshipped and then discarded or immersed. So the alternatives, like you said, is the Sadu soil mud, which we talk about, the clay, natural clay. So, and also, well, we say that yes, it is what you call the plaster of Paris is, I would say 10 times more polluting or even 20 times more polluting. But even the clay which we talk about, the mud, if we continuously use it, it is going to silt up the floor of the lakes and the water bodies, choke the aquifers, and eventually it will have an impact. Though it may not be immediately, it may not be very severe, but we cannot rule out the chance that it is a possibility to happen. So that is where the alternative of recycling the used clay comes in. So we try and reduce the footprint on the environment as much as you can. Now, this matter, like you said, it has been going on and on for many years now, almost 20 years. The petition which I had originally made, it was for exclusively for tackling POP, and the petition was somewhere in 2018, which I had prepared it. It's still in my mailbox. And we said we will go to court. But meanwhile, the central government kept coming out and saying, we are going to ban it. We are going to ban it. So then we said, we go to court, then they'll come and say, we are going to ban it. Why is this petition coming here? So then we decided to hold back. Then what we saw was that every year the new extension was being given that, okay, this year it is allowed, next year it won't be allowed. This year it will be allowed, next year it won't be allowed. And this is going on and on endlessly. So finally it reached a stage where we have to hit it at the bottom itself. Now, what are the guidelines? If you look at the guidelines of the Central Pollution Control Board, it's very clear what you can use. You have to use natural clay, and you have to have specific designated areas where you can immerse it. Can you expand a little on the screen, or I can do it from here? Okay. Answer. Yeah. So the guidelines are for everyone. It is not just for the idol maker. It's also for the people who are buying it, the people who dispose it. Every guideline is there. And best part is it includes also. Yeah, thanks. It specifies you should use non-natural clay, non-toxic materials. The height also it's suggested. It says should be. It never says must be. Now, this is where it goes. It's just trying to encourage people, which is the only way we can get things done in this country. We can't. people are told not to do it, then it will become a political issue. So better they said, okay, it should be of a size which does not impact the water bodies just by the volume of clay that will go into it. And they promoted a unique idea of reusable idols. Now, some people still resist this, saying that how can you reuse that idol? What they don't realize is that what we essentially do in the tradition is to invoke the gods or the spirit to live in that idol for some time. When it's there, once you immerse it, the spirit is supposed to leave that idol. So it is nothing but hard material which is left behind, which can be reused 100 times. It's not that it still continues to remain in that. So that linkage is not being established with the people yet. So there is a resistance to this reusing that idols. So this again we'll have to be working on. And of course, we need awareness and training and community engagement, which I've talked about in my ending slides also. So we'll go to the next one. Next. Yeah. Now, why this entire controversy started was because of Aarey. Now, Aarey is a battle. Save Aarey battle is a unique battle which was fought by the citizens. For it's still ongoing. It's not over. It's about what I would say 10 years down the line. People are still fighting to see that Aarey is completely secure. Nowhere in the world have citizens managed to get 828 acres of forest for the city in an urban city like Mumbai, where real estate prices are the highest, among the highest in the world. So there you have the citizens who fought and kept together. One of the issues in the Aarey battle was that it was in an eco-sensitive zone. It was part of the national park, but it was wrongly or mischievously removed from the national park. So what happened was when we went to court, we said the first step was to try and protect it as much as we can. We said it's in the eco-sensitive zone. Because we had documents to show that the proposal to declare this as an eco-sensitive zone of the national park had already been sent. And in violation of that proposal, the government had allotted the land for the metro car shed. Now, the metro car shed per se was not just the main threat. It was the opening of the floodgates. So we knew that we had to fight this one, otherwise everything else will get ruined. Now we failed to stop the metro car shed, but at least we prevented the floodgates from getting open, because then we were left fighting individual battles, which we are doing even today. One of those battles was with the issue of the lakes of Aarey. Now Aarey has 3 main lakes inside it, and all of them are used for idol immersion. Now, when you see on the right side in an overview, you can see the lake there. Nestled in the forest. It's very much part of the national park. The buildings that you see in the background are the edge of the national park, and there's a forest next to it. So these buildings itself were wrong, but let's come to the lake part of it. Now these lakes are freshwater lakes. They are not saline, or they're not having hard water. It's sweet water. So why? Because these are the plains of the national park. The animals used to come down to drink water from these lakes. So the grazing animals come down, drink water, and go back on the highlands up there, because the Tulsi Lake is deeper inside the forest, and this was easier for the animals to access. But over a period of time, since human activities have increased, the number of animals coming down has reduced, but nothing takes away from the fact that this is still a recreational space used by the Mumbaikars. Next. So these are the lakes which I was talking about. Next. Now this Aarey, like I said, has 3 lakes, 2 rivers, and now the entire colony falls within the EAZ. Now, last point in that was festivities. Now, we went into this saying that what was happening is this recreational space or near the lakes is being used as political, event to show off their strength. Every politician comes there with as many followers or as many groups as he can, and then he creates a mess there. He or she, whoever it is, they create a complete mess there. The lakes are all completely silted up, and then it's all polluted. The fish die in it. And then what they do is that they just again start spending money, removing the silt, scraping the bottom of the lake. And best part is that the administration of Aarey, who is supposed to protect that lake, has not been consulted. It is just that anyone wants, comes there and does what they want. So we asked Aarey, when did you give these permissions to dissolve the idols in this lake? So they said, we have never permitted it. Problem is, nobody asks us. How can we stop them? So that's when we told them, you stop them or we'll have to go to court. So then we went to court. We went to court on this issue that it is inside the eco-sensitive zone. Now in the festivities, you also have, it's about what happens is in Aarey is that when the the season of Ganeshotsav starts or when the Anant Chaturthi comes around, the trees are chopped, huge branches are chopped away on the roads to allow the big vehicles and big idols to come in. And it is a massacre on the road. If you see, you'll feel that the beauty of the roads of Aarey is completely changed. And it is that every, the corporation is trying to outdo someone in showing that how many trees we can cut in this process. The first thing we objected was the cutting of the trees. Secondly, what happens to immerse these idols, they are coming in with a lot of firecrackers, noisy drums, everything. Now it's a wildlife area. These things should not be allowed there. And it is no need. And Aarey colony does not have original residents in the meaning of the true sense. The Adivasis or the forest dwellers do not worship Lord Ganesha. They have never done something to pollute the lake or to destroy its water quality in any way. So all those who are settlers or those who are encroachers around Aarey and people who live around Aarey see that, okay, here there's a water body, let's go and put everything into it. It's just not the idols, everything, every kind of waste was being put into it during this festive season. Now, we decided that we have to approach it in a different way. First of all, like you people do, we also do this educational program with schools and colleges. We conducted site visits with the students also to show how the pollution level increase. We share the news and pictures and videos of how the fish dies and how the water is damaged and the water quality is destroyed that way. Then we went to the court. We submitted the evidences, all the evidence, like in the terms of the guidelines. It was easier for the court because two things, it was in the eco-sensitive zone. Secondly, the guidelines were very clear how to do it. And thirdly, the Aarey administration had not given any permission. Now the forest department is the member of a committee which is the eco-sensitive zone committee. But since it is inside a forest, some area is touching the forest, so their NOC was also needed. So they said we have not given any NOC. We asked the committee, eco-sensitive zone committee, how did you permit this? So they said we have not permitted anything. So here was a situation that nobody wants to take responsibility to keep the lake and the river and the water bodies clean. So we had to go to court, and the court saw through all this and asked the committee to pass its opinion on it. And they also had to concur because they cannot go against the CPCB guidelines. Polluting of freshwater bodies is prohibited inside the eco-sensitive areas. It's not just here. Remember this, the Water Act is very clear that any freshwater or even saline zone cannot be polluted. What is a pollutant? Anything that tampers with the wholesomeness of water, the quality of water. So you don't have to wait for it to be an idol or anything. Even if you throw some trash into it, it is a pollutant. It doesn't exist naturally in that pristine water body. So we have to identify that, and then, like I said, we filed the RTIs, we got all the documents together, we sent representations. But here, the issue was that we were running against time. Unfortunately, all of us, I would say, all of us, I don't know if I'm wrong, I'll be happy if I'm wrong, all of us get active just around Ganeshotsav. So what happens is the politicians then take advantage of that. Now it is, so to avoid this happening this year, the last 2 months we've been trying to move the petition to get a final relief on it. Trust me, for whatever reason, it doesn't reach. So again, this month, twice it was listed. Now it is being listed at the end of this month. So we've said that the urgency is that we do not want a situation where they come and say festival is tomorrow, we have to do this. So that should not happen. We are trying our best to preempt that. Okay, next. So this is what I was telling you about, that it falls in the eco-sensitive zone, and the March 12th May guidelines of the CPCB were used for us, which specifically banned the plaster of Paris idols. Now, after we intervened, the Aarey administration told MCGM that you have not taken our permissions and we are bound by the eco-sensitive zone guidelines and we cannot allow you permission because we will be held responsible if the pollution happens in the water body. So the MCGM then understood that there is no scapegoat here. They took a step back. Then they started saying, unless the Aarey administration gives permission, we will not do it. So immediately we had suggested that they should make alternate arrangements at the entrance of Aarey colonies, which is in the form of artificial tanks. Okay. So then after we suggested this, when the court hearing was going on, we were shocked to see that there were banners across Aarey saying that so-and-so leader, politician will ensure that the idols will be immersed in the freshwater lakes. So they put it out. They will do it in the freshwater lake, no matter, nobody can stop them. So we showed the court, this is what you are hearing the matter and this is what's happening on the ground. So the court saw that this was being used as a political issue and trying to create discontent or anger among people needlessly. Nobody is opposing anyone's religious sentiments, and religion does not give you the license to go and pollute nature. Nature is worshipped in all religions. So we have to understand that primarily. So we made arrangements for the artificial ponds. Then next slide. On 12th of September 2023, last year, they said that all the suburbs will, we said it's not restricted to Aarey now. Now we have to tell the court that it is a larger issue. And then the court understood that all the lakes of Mumbai, freshwater lakes, are facing this issue. So it held that no immersion will take place inside Aarey colony. It is, since it is in the eco-sensitive zone. And the four main bodies, the state government, municipal corporation, pollution control board, Aarey colony CEO, and the member secretary of the monitoring committee of the EAZ zone were asked to file their replies. So then they were directed to ensure compliance of the EAZ guidelines. Mercifully, there is no modification in the guidelines. The guidelines still stand. No, it is, see, the guidelines are not restrictive, they are regulatory. So they impose a certain kind of regulation in it. It's not saying that don't celebrate a festival. Yes, the residents have a right to celebrate the festival. They should celebrate it, but in XYZ manner. Next. So this is what the court asked. First of all, these are news articles which came up, and the High Court warned against immersion of idols and told BMC you cannot do this. And then BMC was asked to explain what they're going to do. So they said we are now we made arrangements for alternate arrangements like artificial tanks, etc. And everything was like hunky dory. Everything was sort of settled at that point of time. And the court also said, okay, now it's over. Now hopefully this will be in place. But then the matter has not been finally disposed of. So we don't know if again this year they'll come back and start something else. Next. So this is just a workshop we did to show the use of clay and how to do it. We encourage children to make it. So here there are two cases which I told you about. One is the Thane Powai Lake case, I'll tell you now, and the Thane Creek case. That we'll come to the Powai Lake first. Powai Lake is the next lake outside Aarey. But it's a freshwater lake. Next slide. Yeah, this is Powai Lake. And what you see on your right side, it's one of the inhabitants of the lake. The freshwater crocodile. Okay, so this is found in a good sizable number in the lake. And what was happening every year was that hundreds and hundreds of POP idols are being immersed in this lake, and plus it is getting contaminated with sewage. So the lake is sort of being killed chemically and physically, both ways. So what happens is this, they have finally started, or rather in the last few years, we have seen that they have put a sort of ring and barricade and where they can hold the people within a particular area. That is primarily to prevent them from getting attacked by the crocodiles. But the fact is that the idols even today are continuing to be immersed here. Next. Now, what was happening was one fine day, as I was monitoring this Powai Lake, I saw a tempo filled with discarded idols. So I sort of followed it and I waited. I saw it turn into Powai Lake, the boundary of Powai Lake, and the entire tempo full of idols which were discarded across Mumbai were being brought here and dumped into the lake. Now, we all feel happy whenever this thing is done outside, that the segregation is done. There is a plastic layer which has been put down under the water and everything is being recovered. The silt is being removed. But where is it going? It constitutes hazardous waste. Where is it going? It should go to a hazardous waste facility. Instead of that, they started bringing it and putting it in Powai Lake. That's why when I called up the additional commissioner, the assistant commissioner, and I told him, what is this? So he says people's religious feelings are being hurt. I said the feelings are over the moment they finish the immersions. Then it is your baby. You cannot come and put it here. And which law allows you to put it here? Then I said, I'll file the case against you for this. So immediately MPCB stepped in. And the calls went through and then the tempo left after unloading half of it. And after that, this has not been repeated there. So again, it's a question of you keeping a continuous watch on this area and then doing it. Now the Thane Creek, this is a Ramsar site. We got a sanctuary notified after much battle with the government and much what you call collaboration or interactions with the government. Finally, this sanctuary has been declared. It's declared an important bird area, Ramsar site today. Here also the same thing, where Rohit has correctly caught them off guard, where they have been continuously collecting the idle immersion waste from all over Thane district and putting it into the Thane Creek. The Thane Creek itself is so silted up that its carrying capacity has gone down. What was a port? Thane Kopri in Thane was a proper commercial port, which means that the big vessels could reach Thane and go back. Today, even small boats cannot go out if it is low tide. We have to wait for high tide for the boats to move out. That is because of so much siltation which is happening, and that is aggravated when you immerse this waste, when you dispose of the waste in the creek itself. So Rohit is on that, and he's got these orders from the NGT, but NGT is on it. So I think we will be able to do something for the Thane Creek as well as the other parts of it. Next. So like you said, you have got it right. The need of the hour, what can we do? Is that first of all, get these religious groups and leaders involved. See, no matter how much sense people like us talk, it doesn't resonate. But when someone wearing those religious robes and clothes and talk, it makes sense. So we need to get those people to speak up. Okay, now we say the water is God, then you have to respect the God. You cannot dirty the God. We need to get that statement out of the holy men or these religious leaders. So we have to interact more with them. They have the power to convince people easily, because our population largely does not rely on their own thinking and understanding of things. Now we have to, the pollution control board, let us say we always criticize them, but they are doing their job, I would say. To a large extent, the pollution control boards do their job. They are handicapped when the urban development bodies try to boss over them, or they get to boss over them, because the urban development bodies are the bodies that bring money to the government. So naturally, their word has more weight. The pollution board is someone who's opposing, someone who's financing. So they are always on the back foot. They try to walk the midway by writing and saying, please do this, please do that. But they need a lot of support from the citizens. That is what we have to ensure. While we criticize the pollution control board, we need to understand what are their handicaps and what are their challenges. So we have to push them to do that. We have to interact with civic bodies also. In fact, Thane is lucky. Thane, the present commissioner and the earlier one also, Mr. Sanjay Bangar, they were both, I have seen them to be very receptive towards conservation and importance of keeping water bodies free from pollution. So they give you a hearing. So here is where we NGOs have to get these people together, the pollution board and the civic officers to sit together and agree on a plan of action. Because unless both of them come on the same plane, we cannot do it. Now, the third thing is the most difficult thing, involving politicians. Now, the politicians, the less said, the better. But unfortunately, we are stuck with them. It is like we are married to them. We can't run away, whether it is good or bad. So, can someone mute it? Yeah. So, so the politicians, convincing the politicians is going to be the biggest challenge, because if they come on board, then you have a big help from them on the cause. Now we have to hold awareness sessions in communities. You have to go to the communities and do it. We can't do it. See, people who speak English, people who read and write a lot, those who interact socially on issues, those who interact. See, it is said that there is a thing that small minds discuss people, average minds discuss events, and the really thinking ones discuss possibilities. So we have got to drag people into that third category, where you talk about possibilities and how we can improve things. So those kind of interactions are very much necessary. And lastly, but not least, we should give incentives for eco-friendly festivals. And this should not be just on the festival. You have to time it out, phase it out across the year, that particular, what do you call it, the Ganeshotsav Mandal or that group has to be honored in some event after the festival, not during it. During it, it gets lost. It's completely lost in the festivities. Let us say in December, you call them and you tell them, okay, here's an award for you, or you make it an event, you give them, they feel recognized. Okay, we did something some months back, it is still being valued. So we need to time that out also, is my personal feeling. So this is what I had to say about this issue. I hope I have been able to say something which is useful for all of us. And let's see if we can work together and do something. Your idea about the reuse of clay, it's fantastic. It's just a question of breaking that barrier of people's mind. This is part of our duty and we can do this. Unless that sense of ownership, belonging, and necessity to give something back happens, we will always be up against the wall. Thank you.
Thank you, Stalin. That was really very informative. And as I have known you for so many years, your perseverance and your absolute belief in the importance of conservation is really, really inspiring. It takes, you have to be a warrior to do the kind of work you do. So I want to thank you just on behalf of everybody for the work you're doing. I know that sometimes it's being done at great peril to your own health, your family. Is the kind of warriors that we do need. I think what would be great, we have 17 participants, and maybe at this point we can open up the discussion. So many different points have been brought up, and because the Punaravartan team, like you said, has been working. We started on this in February this year. It takes that much time to prepare. So many of those points are also familiar to us, and we would like to talk to you. But let's open it up right now and see whether anyone from the audience has anything in particular to ask you or, to.
Is Rohit still around?
Rohit had.
Yes, I am very much there.
So he's there. So he can also answer some other questions since he's currently as actively involved or in fact equally involved in this issue. Yeah. So let's interact with the audience and whoever participates. Yes.
So if any of you have any thoughts or any questions, you can put up your hand or just unmute yourself and speak. We can, open up the discussion for a few minutes. And then I have certain questions for Stalin, so then I can bring it up.
Yeah, I have allowed everyone to unmute themselves. So, or you can raise your hand and if you can also open your video.
We also have Advocate Sarita. I can see her here. She's also doing a great work in Ulhasnagar area. So we have people who are on the same page here. So that's nice. So maybe I think you should open it up, or even you can, as we can ask the questions, we can discuss it.
Yes, we can definitely have a discussion. Let me start with a few thoughts that came to my mind, and maybe that will, trigger some more conversation. So in particular, we watch.
Rohit says, yeah, they are unable to unmute. So maybe that setting is.
I have just disabled that. I've allowed everyone to unmute themselves.
Okay. Yeah.
Try it again, Rohit ji.
Yes,
Rohit?
it's working. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
So it's wonderful that we have a few more law enthusiasts and also lawyers and advocates here. Because for us as, let's say, the common man, the role that the law can play in, making certain things happen, which simply through, discussion or debate or even appeals to the government has not been happening, right? So you have now, this is, one, maybe the latest PIL and so many that you have filed. So I wanted to ask you that, do these PILs really work? Like in the sense that, does that whole system actually, is it effective to file a PIL? And have you seen success in some of the previous issues that you have filed PILs on?
Definitely, touchwood, I would say 90% of my PLs have been successes. We've always had the ear of the judge and the judiciary, and they understand the issues. What petitions basically help is that they get all the agencies to come on one platform and answer for their deeds. Here, the passing of the buck cannot continue for long. But when you do it individually or try to convince a particular department, you will find that you are getting stonewalled or you're reaching nowhere. But once you write officially and then when there is no response, you go to the court, then everyone has to come and answer. They can't run away. So once the judiciary takes a little time, sometimes it takes too much time also. I wouldn't say that, but on smaller issues, I've always found that the judiciary is very responsive and on policy issues, they want to take the course of action. It's only when you are targeting some big project or some big name that you find that there is a layer of caution that comes in. The judiciary also doesn't want to see itself as hastily giving a decision. So that happens. But otherwise, yes, it's a success always.
Now, specifically in the matter of the disposal of the idols after the Visarjan. So even like, I mean, I'm happy to say that in Pune, many things have already been implemented for many years now. The immersion tanks are not only at the river ghats or at the lake sites, but we have immersion tanks across the city. So there are 200 locations where people can go and put their idols, and people are responding to that very well. We have also found that the religious community is very open to this. I think if one is explaining to them the whole concern for the environment, actually Hindu philosophy is very respectful of nature. And so we found that when we actually launched Punaravartan, we had people who had kept their clay for 3-4 years saying that, I don't want to throw this away. I will do something with it at some point, but I don't know what to do yet. And so when we said, give it to us, people came out in thousands, right? So I saw that when a win-win solution is created, really, it's possible to bring people from diverse backgrounds and diverse interests together, right?
You're lucky you're in Pune, because Pune has the sensitivity and the intellect, I would say, to understand and take things, to follow a practice up to a particular level. People are more understanding and aware. But when you come to cities like Mumbai, where the migrant population has outnumbered the local population, there is no sense of belonging to the city.
That's right.
Then you're battling that.
But so specifically, because, Coexist had started working on this issue as early as 2007, where we were promoting these alternative modes. At that time, when I had gone to the solid waste department and I had asked them, what are you doing with these modes? Even if you have an immersion tank, where do they go? That question that you asked, that, if you're going to dump it back into the river or, put it in some other water body, then that beats the purpose. Now we found that the government was also stumped, and they were telling me कि आपके पास अगर उपाय है तो आप लेके जाएं, because we don't know what to do with this, right? So now I think in the revised immersion guidelines, it has been specifically mentioned that they can be put, like certain areas in landfills can be identified where this can be put, right? So we have now been visiting those landfills to see what is happening at the landfill also, because as you said correctly, a landfill is probably lesser of a problem than putting it into a water body, but it's not the ideal. It's not the ideal solution. So I feel that this thing of offering them, what is the government supposed to do? Because here in Pune, it's 500, 600, 1,000 tons of material after the festival, right? So what would you suggest is like for Mumbai, where even space is a constraint? I don't know about the landfill situation in Mumbai, but what would you suggest? Like when you stop that truck from putting it into Powai Lake, where did they go? What happened with
I am very sure they ultimately reach the creek somewhere, the Thane Creek. Stop it at some nala or some creek and just dump it and run away. So that's what's happening. See, I said there is nothing to for the government to be scared. This should be categorized as hazardous waste, and there is hazardous waste handling facility at Taloja. Every city should have a hazardous waste handling facility. Then after it is treated properly, then it may be disposed of wherever it wants to, it can be. But without treatment, to go and dump it in a landfill, nothing. You're just wishing away a problem for a particular amount of time, but then it is going to come back to haunt you later. So I would say it should be first, it begins with categorizing it and treating it as one. So the corporations should estimate what is it. They can go wrong 1 year, 2 year, at least the third year, they should get it right. And like you said, when you sell it, it should be made mandatory that, okay, this idol was sold, the number of idols at least should come. Like what is the size and what is the weight of it. So you get a data collection that again, the corporation has to do it, or even the pollution control board can do it. Getting it from the individual, you have to register those people who are making it. How much did you sell this year? Okay. And then when you get it, finally, tentatively, there will be a mismatch, no doubt. Nobody's going to tell you honestly how much they have done. But the quantity will be known. Okay, this year you had 1,000 tons of mud which was left from the immersions. So if that goes for treatment, okay, the corporation has to make that allotment also of funds for it treating it. It's not ki just take it and Taloja will do it free of cost. No, we have the technologies, we have the science to do it. Let us do it.
So, one of the other things that happened is that when we were trying to find out that who is actually resisting this ban on PO, and the assumption is that it's the artisans who don't want the ban, right? So this year, what we did is we did a survey where we have spoken to around 98 artisans. So about 47 of them are from Pune and Pane. Pane is where most of the clay idols are getting made, as you mentioned. And then the remaining 47, 48 were in Savantwadi, where it is the traditional artisans who have always worked in clay. So now we realize that the urban community of artisans, so even the artisans, they're not like a homogeneous group. There are different opinions within the artisans also. So we found that, for example, that the Murtikars in Savantwadi are actually completely against POP, because that has affected their traditional craft, which is to work with clay. And so when we asked them what kind of help do you need, they said, please help us to ban it. And on the other hand, when we were speaking to Murtikars in Pune or in Pane, which are maybe more recently have become Murtikars, don't have that kind of skill, they require an easier material to work with, that's where we saw that they are saying, no, we would like to continue working with POP. So I feel that even because, they are the community that will get most impacted. If you ban any one material and they don't have an alternative to that material, they'll get impacted, right?
See, what the general notion among people is that POP is very expensive and it takes a lot of effort to make it. Itna shape kaisa diya and all that. They don't realize it. Now, if you say it's made of clay, bola mud ka kitna cost aata hai? Why should we pay so much? Then it is more about profit also for the manufacturer. Rohit, what I'm saying is right, na? You also spoken to a lot of people who are
Yes, that's correct. That's correct.
So it is the commercial aspect, the value. Like if you tell
Value
them,
also, and also the POP idols are easy to mold, and
yeah,
it
that's
takes
what
a less amount of time than
time.
the
Yeah,
clay
yeah.
idols.
It's quick money and high profits in return. So clay idols take a lot of effort, but it's like organic. Now we should make it like organic food. Organic food, which is actually supposed to be cheap, has become expensive. Now you have the choice. When it just came in, it was a chemical food without worms and without highly polished everything, which became costly. Today, you want something in its pure form, you have to pay more.
That's right.
So you have to make it glamorous to have an idol which is made of clay. That glamorization now, Instagram is something which you should be using, okay, to promote it. Get these religious influencers to talk about it, show the idols made of clay and how it helps the environment. You, I, Rohit, and people like us talking for maybe for months together won't change much. What these guys can do in 1 month with 4 or 5 reels. So that I see more and more people getting their knowledge from reels and believing it, even if it is wrong. But if those right persons are talking about it, the influencers, instead of the newspapers, now newspapers it's like a gone era. No point in getting something published in the newspaper. I don't see people sitting and reading newspapers also now. So it's more about online phone time. So we have to push our message through the electronic media and through the social media platforms by making it glamorous, not as preaching. Nobody likes preaching. If you go and tell people do this, immediately say we won't do it. That is an instant reaction. So we have to coax them into it. Say he's doing it, he's doing it, he said this, he said that. So we have to do it. We'll also do it.
You brought up a very important point, which is also a big aspect of this, which is the commercial angle of all this whole thing, right? Because one of the things that the chief minister in the meeting that he held last year for Ganesh Chaturthi, he declared that they would be giving out free clay to artisans, because the artisans were saying that, it's difficult for us, we don't have space, it requires storage. It requires, to dry those murtis, etc., etc. And the other thing that has come up from the artisan survey is that the prices of the clay have gone up ever since plaster of Paris got banned. So what we are now observing with our research and our studies is that there are many nuances to like things are not black and white, And the market is playing a very big role in, it's almost like the whole market is resisting it. So now, for example, if we get queries about murtis, people will say, "Ha, humko POP chale." So the market is still demanding the plaster of Paris because they are cheaper. So in a way, this interface between the law, between awareness and sensitivity, the NGOs work, the market, all of this has to fit for it to work. It all has to click into place, right?
There is a gap. I agree with you. Yes, there is this gap between the government and the people, which the NGOs have to fill, but the NGOs don't have that much funds or bandwidth to really fill it completely. It will require a lot more effort. I think Gayatri was raising a hand. She had some question. Gayatri?
No.
No.
Rohit and Sarita ji, if you would like to
Yeah.
comment.
No, Stalin, I disagree with this that commercially, if POP is more viable option or than the clay idols, because I have spoken with many of artisans and they completely deny the fact that POP is cheaper than clay idols. Only problem is that it is sold in volumes. So that is the issue because these artisans, when they make 50, 100 idols, it is not easy to compete them with the POP manufacturers.
No, I
So
said
that
the
is
same
the
thing.
main
I
issue.
said the same
So,
thing that POP
yeah,
is priced higher but easier to make. So people prefer that. And the people who make it want to make that only. Like you said, 50 idols when ordinary clay idol maker will take, that guy will make 150. So that is what you're saying is right.
and they are ready to compete also because I am in touch with now. I've spoken with Manisha also on this issue. I am in touch with artisans and traditional artists who have been making these clay idols since centuries. So I mean, from generations, it has come to them. So, but next generation is not interested in anymore in that trade now is because of this POP invasion into this industry. And CPCB guidelines are not being implemented and executed in Maharashtra particularly for the same reason because of this POP manufacturing lobby and this, politicians who are supporting these POP idol manufacturers. So now we have come together. So I have 12 12 different districts in Maharashtra, artisans who have been making this clay idols traditionally. They have come forward and we have petitioned in Bombay High Court. Today only we have served the petition copies to all 20 respondents in Maharashtra and it will come on board next week. So hopefully, the POP ban will be implemented effectively from next week onward, because court will pass some directions. That's what we hope.
Yeah.
So
We have to show that every year the central government is accommodating this polluting industry,
correct.
and that we
We
have
have
to
shown
show.
everything,
Yeah, and you have
and
to
Stalin. Yeah.
sorry.
Your data also helped us, the data which you have shared with our lawyers. So that also helped much.
Sarita ji,
Hello, sorry, I was getting another call. So that is one thing. And yes, one more thing I wanted to add is that in 2023, Maharashtra government passed some directions to all the municipal councils and collectors all over Maharashtra to form local coordination committees, or you can call it monitoring committees, where somehow people, even activists, are not aware of those directions, and because of which nobody, I mean, in no municipal corporation jurisdiction or on district level, they are not forming committees at all. Here in 2024, only Mumbai Municipal Corporation has formed such committee, and where they have taken their own 4 engineers from 4 different wards. I mean, that is complete. I was just to show that we are following the government directives. But in in reality, they are not taking any participation from public as such. So that is the big problem. So मेरा घर साफ रहेगा, हर कोई ये सोचेगा, तो पूरा भारत साफ रहेगा. तो हमारा थाना में मैं काम कर रहा हूँ, तो पूना में भी काम कर रहा हूँ. Unfortunately, I couldn't add Pune corporation or Pune district as a party in my petition, is because some activist from Pune is approached NGT already. So I couldn't
But
add
you
him.
can make, you could have made urban development principal secretary as a party. Automatically, all the bodies come in.
That we have already done. That we
So
have
you-
already done.
So any order which
Pune
is
we have
passed
not
in your
included.
matter will impact the entire Maharashtra state. You don't
Sure,
have to
sure.
worry.
That we
Yeah.
are going to. That we are going to.
Wonderful. Thank you, Rohit. I'm glad that you could also join. If Sarita ji has some comment, you're welcome. Otherwise, I just want to quickly share also the work we've done, Stalin, and I'll
Yeah,
just share
please.
screen here. Is that this is the article. This is the Punaravartan website for those of you who have not seen it. And this article called Immersed in Legal Waters. This is the legal history of the guidelines that we have actually put together. And so I recommend that you take a look, especially if you are considering to file a PIL for your own city or whatever. So this is quite extensive. And the other thing that I'm very proud of the work that we were able to do is the survey that I told you, of what do the artisans really think, right? So this one, Are the Artisans in Favor of a Ban on POP, is the survey we did in Pune and Thane.
Is there a body, sorry to interrupt you, is there any association of these artisans?
Yes, there are many Murtikar Sangatnas actually. And so wherever possible, where we have contacts, we are speaking to the Sangatnas also. Not all of the Murtikars are members of the Sangatnas, but they, especially in rural areas, they really rely on the Sangatnas to explain to them the status, what is currently the status of the ban and what they should be doing. And in some cases, the Sangatna is also doing very good work in terms of helping them with innovations, giving them soft loans, things like that, right? One of the biggest issues that came up as we were talking about registration, the CPCB guidelines have asked the governments to, the local bodies to register the artisans.
Register the artisans. That's what I was telling. You should have the data. How many people are making it?
We followed up on that, and even under the crafts council, or the whole thing of documenting the crafts of India, unfortunately what is happening is that these murtikars, because they are seasonal murtikars, so they are not they're not sculptors in the sense that the entire year they are making sculptures. They are only coming, and very specifically for Ganesh, their family has been doing it, so they will come back to their village for that much time, help with making the murtis, and they want to continue that. Now these people, they cannot be under the category of Shilpakar, because that's a person who only does sculpture, or even Kalakar, which is, I think, related to painting and other art forms. So these Murtikars, because they are seasonal Murtikars, they don't fall into any category, and so there has been no registration, for them. So these and many other points have come.
What you do is, Manisha, maybe you can send a list of suggestions to Rohit, because the court will eventually ask the petitioners also to give their suggestions. So these things can be incorporated, and whatever is non-controversial or not conflicting, it will easily be taken on record. So I suggest we do that.
Sure. And the other survey is specifically in Sindhudurg, where like I said to you, everybody wants to work with soil. So they have different types of soil. They don't only get soil all the way from Gujarat. They're also looking at local soils. And in many cases, the soil goes back to the same place where it was taken from. So that loop is already closed, which is what used to happen traditionally, right? So I think one of the things we have learned is that we cannot blanketly judge all the artisans. We have to really understand in each context what is that community facing and what is their preference, what would they like to do.
I would differ with you on this, Manisha, because the issue of plaster of Paris is not something new which has cropped up today. From 2018 or even before that, this thing is known. So they know that the hammer is going to come on them, and still they have been holding out and using their contacts in the political circles to keep this issue alive and profitable for them. So somewhere this has to stop. I wouldn't really have much sympathy.
I have personally been to Pain every year for the last 15 years. So what in our studies also, the ones who are the urban artisans, the ones who are not paramparik karigar, the ones who don't have the skills of working with soil, they are using POP. So if there is a resistance, it's coming from them. But if you go to Sindhudurg, everybody wants a ban on POP, which was a surprise to us also. Even the Sanghatanas have asked for a ban on POP. So I'm saying that when you compare, say, Sindhudurg artisans to Pune and Pain, it's a very different picture that is emerging. Right. So I think within the artisans also there are different viewpoints. And next week we are planning to have a similar conversation with some artisans. We are hopefully going to get Murtikar Sanghatanas also to come and have conversations with us. And our idea is to continue to have these open conversations, Stalin, because finally all of us have to collectively solve this problem.
Rohit, have you made any association or party in your case? Rohit?
Maybe it's not.
He's gone.
Sorry, Stalin. I was a little away. Yeah, tell me.
I said, have you made the associations a party in your case? Any association of
What association?
The people who make these idols, the artisans.
No, actually, they're with us, no?
So then it makes it easy. It slipped my mind. Yes, it's easy for you now. Yeah,
And about making of this database, creating this database, MPCB has already started it. So MPCB is making an app where all the artisans can register and can fill their details into their app, and then that app will be made public. But yet that app is not created. It's been 4 years now. So that also we have challenged in our petition.
Got it.
Okay, I think, Stalin, we can stop here now. It's been a wonderful discussion, and we will stay in touch with you. Also, come to you for guidance if required. And Rohit also, Rohit is planning a big exhibition in Thane, which he may want to share. But I think if we all collectively work on this together, we will be able to solve it, is what I think.
It was nice having this discussion. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Stalin, and thank you, Manisha, for arranging this. Yeah.
Kama, over to you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Stalin ji. This was nice. I'm really enthused by the first lecture. I mean, the deep diving, even you see, my mind is just spinning with all the various, complexities of the situation. But like Manisha said, I think if we all come together collectively, the society, government, and industry, if we can all come on the same platform and be at one round table instead of a line dividing us, then I think we'll be able to find solutions. So on that positive note of hope, and more power to all of you who, take that big step forward. And thank you. And we'll be in touch.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Do join us for the next few lectures.
Sure.
I'll keep you updated. So it'll be
Thank
nice to hear from, have a collective, after all the topics have been discussed, maybe we can have one of trying to find one common ground and
Correct.
the way forward. That'll be nice.
Yes.
Thank you, Manisha. Thank you, Stalin.
Okay, thank you
To
all.
participants, thank you for taking time.
Bye.
And yes, okay. And good evening to all.